Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Dragonic Overlord Cardfight Vanguard deck profile for post-Festival Booster 2023. Wanted to update the Dragonic Overlord deck. We've had some promos released along with some reprints in the Festival Booster to make it hopefully a little easier to build a full-powered Dragonic Overlord deck. As I say that, they still haven't made it easy for those reprints. The ratios seem all over the place, especially with the reprints in the actual set being a lot more difficult to get than any of the new cards we have in the Festival Booster. Hopefully some of the prices adjust for some of the needed cards for both Dragonic Overlord and Blaster Blade. But until then, I'll still bring a deck update with the ratios you can use for all of the cards we have for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the ride deck, our starter is Lizard Runner Undo. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Embodiment of Armor Bar. When it's rode upon by Dragonic Overlord, you can counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So this just gives you access to any of the grade 1s in the deck, including if you want to add just, your Sentinel of choice to your hand, to then have one of the needed more important guard cards like Twin Buckler Dragon ready to use against your opponent. Our grade 2 is Dragonic Overlord. When rode upon by a unit with Overlord and its card name, you can call it to rearguard, which makes our last card in the ride deck our Dragonic Overlord the End. You run this card because we have Ardor Hatchet Dragon, a very useful grade 2, to easily set up an Overlord in our souls. We could just go right off the ride chain with Dragonic Overlord the End, and it still utilizes Nahum because you just have to ride with a unit with Overlord in its name. It doesn't have to be Dragonic Overlord, so you have this, and then you can go right into your Persona rides. You don't have to cross ride into Dragonic Overlord at the end, and then you can gain your additional part effects on top of the 3 Dragonic Overlord at the end that we're also running in the main deck on Vanguard Circle during your turn. If your soul has Dragonic Overlord, this unit's drive cannot decrease from card effects, and it gets plus 5,000 power. So you have that power increase on top of the fact that you will always have Twin Drive, even when it restands with its Vanguard Circle once per turn at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. Counterblast 1, discard 2 cards from your hand, and stand this unit. And this unit gets drive -1 till end of turn, but you won't have that drive -1 as long as you have your Dragonic Overlord in the soul, which we are also running the 4 copies of this card. It does have the rearguard ability, so it could be a potential rearguard to call out. During the battle this unit attacked, a rearguard, your opponent cannot call cards from their hand to the guard circle, so if there's a pesky rearguard you don't want your opponent to have, just having that added power for the rearguard attack. You won't ever use the Vanguard restand power, which it's just going to be in the deck otherwise for the put in the soul option with Dragonic Overlord at the end. And the best way to do so in the deck is with our Ardor Hatchet Dragon. This card, if you don't run it, it completely changes the lineup, because if you don't have Ardor Hatchet Dragon, then you'll have to make Dragonic Overlord your main go-to Vanguard in the deck and switch around some other numbered cards. With Ardor Hatchet Dragon on Guard Circle, if your soul is a card with Overlord and its card name, it gets shield plus 5,000. But the more important card ability is on Rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, retire this unit, choose a grade 3 card with Overlord and its card name from your drop zone, and put it into your soul. So you can even potentially call out Dragonic Overlord. Then if it just gets retired on the Rearguard, you can then place it into the soul with the newly called, let's say, Ardor Hatchet Dragon. You can call over Dragonic Overlord, setting it up in the drop zone, and then just have the retire option of this card, setting up that grade 3 in your soul also. For some of the other grade 2s that we run in the deck, also 4 copies of Burning Horn Dragon. It's just more search power when it's placed on the rearguard, counterblast 1. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Overlord and its card name, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. If you did not, you countercharge 1. So it makes up for the fact that you don't have to invest the counterblast and not get something off of the reveal. And on rearguard, when your Vanguard with Overlord and its card name attacks, it gets plus 5,000. So with the first attack, it'll get plus 5,000. It's not a once per turn. So once Overlord restands again and attacks again, you'll have another 5,000 on top of that one. So you can just increase your numbers for your Burning Horn Dragon on the field, along with the search power when placed on rearguard to add any of the needed Overlord cards, whether it be Dragonic Overlord, if you use this card early game, to then use for the discard, to then go into Dragonic Overlord at the end. Discarding it for the ride deck, I would say, is one of your best options. Now, I don't run Berserk Dragon or any extra Nahalms. You have the Nahalm from the ride deck to call out to rear for any of the added boost grade 2s. But for more retire power in the deck, I'm running 4 copies of Blast Artillery Dragon Brachioforce. On rearguard, when this unit attack hits, retire this unit, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and retire it. So you have the retire power on top of the fact that you can also draw a card off this card. Makes up for this rearguard that you just attacked with, while still giving you hand consistency and taking out one of your opponent's rearguards. It's a more added pressure rearguard if your opponent doesn't have a option and they want to protect some of their other rearguards, then making it more of a vitality that they may want to take the Dragonic Overlord attack. It all depends on just this pressure that this card can provide. Now, for the grade 1s, sadly, the most important card, like I said, is the grade 1 Drag Gritter Halb. I only pulled one from all of my boxes. It's definitely short print like all the other bigger reprints. There were even some that I hadn't pulled yet. I'll eventually pick them up. I'm not in the biggest rush, because just other decks I want to focus on more at the moment. When I get them through trades, I will. You can just replace them with Embodiment Armor bars, other grade 1s that we run as well. I'm running Gojo and Fujimachi Madoka, which can also be increased numbers instead for this spot, but with Drag Gritter Halb, when it would be discarded from hand for the cost of your ability of your Vanguard with Overlord, it may be regarded as discarding 2 cards. So it can set up for that discard cost with just 1 card, and when it's discarded from the hand for the cost of ability with Overlord in this card name, you may call it to a back row center rearguard, providing a boost for some other units and even a potential Vanguard that restands as well, giving it an additional plus 5,000 power on top of it. Very, very useful grade 1, and you definitely do want to run 4 copies of it in the deck. And then for some of the other grade 1s, I run 2 copies of Stealth Dragon Fujimachi Madoka for the added shield power, being a 15k shield altogether. And for more counter charge power, the 1 copy of Dragon Monk Gojo. When the Vanguards attack this unit, boosted hits, retire this unit, and counter charge 1. Now you can mix around your numbers with these cards even if you needed to change around some of the spots for your Dragger or Halb spot in the deck. It's just player preference also at that point. With the last of the grade 1s being 4 copies of Twin Buckler Dragon. You could run Elementaria Sanctitude if you want in the deck. You don't really have much of an issue for the triple drive power option. It's just another, blitz order to run in place of it to have less of a discard cost when going up against decks with triple drive. And then for the trigger lineup, I run 7 critical. You can put the ability triggers if you want here in the spot for Blaze Warmonk, and then 3 copies of Conduct Spark Dragon. The soul buildup in the deck isn't as important, so you don't really need it, or the plus 2,000 power, but I do have the 4 copies of Flare Veil Dragon for the added 5k shield. I would say this is definitely more relevant, having the draw trigger and then the additional 5k shield it can provide, with our heals being 2 copies of Parasolis, the 1 copy of Cure Flare Draco Kid, and the 1 Stealth Fiend Amaviera for added shield powers. You can always go for the more vanilla triggers if you want in this spot. It's player preference once again. With the over trigger being our Drag Veda, I thought of running the new, Spiritual King of Ignition Valnut in this spot. If you have it, you can give it a try. I just think the restand power of your Vanguard is always better in the Dragon Empire choice to ride in a deck. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, I'll be working on more decks from the Festival Booster set, so look forward to it. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.